Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar discussing the evolving role of creator content in the marketing mix and how brands and marketers are leveraging creator strategies throughout the entire sales funnel. Following this discussion, we'll have some time for Q&A, so please take advantage of that. You don't have to wait until the end to submit your questions. You can add them at any point during the session through the questions tab on GoToWebinar. Everyone registered will also get a recording of this webinar in their inbox tomorrow, should you miss anything or want to revisit any part of the conversation. Today's guests are Lindsay Jerutis, Shana Draugelis, and Cathy Chen. Lindsay Jerutis is the driving force behind Collective Voice and is at the forefront of the creator marketing industry as the company's general manager. With over a decade of experience in digital commerce and operations, she navigates consumer trends, empowers creators to build thriving businesses, and emphasizes the importance of brands investing in creator marketing to drive growth and success. Lindsay's leadership extends from her extensive background in media and publishing with executive roles at prestigious publications like Time, People, and InStyle. Shana Draugelis is the founder of The Mom Edit, a fashion and lifestyle website that reaches over 4.8 million visitors a year. The Mom Edit has contributors all over the US and is known as a playful and authentic source for all things style, momming, travel, beauty, wellness, and home. Before launching The Mom Edit, Shana spent 15 years working as a software and systems engineer. Cathy Chen is the Vice President of Growth Marketing at Saks, where she's responsible for marketing strategy across all paid media channels and SEO. She joined Hudson's Bay Company in 2015 and has held various roles in marketing and business strategy across the company at Saks. Cathy previously worked in investment banking at Centerview Partners. Before we dive into our discussion, we wanted to define what we mean by creator in this context. So this can range from influencers to user-generated content and other types of related content. So the first question we have is, we're at an inflection point, certainly in digital media, with creator marketing growing 3.5 times faster than traditional social ad spending. And Lindsay, you have witnessed the dynamic evolution of digital media over the last 2 decades. Can you share your insights into how this expansion has led to the evolution of the marketing funnel?
Yeah, thanks, Christina, and hi, everyone. Sorry for a couple of these little technical hurdles. We're excited to be here and really excited to talk about this particular topic. So, I will say over the past few decades, I really noticed just how much consumer behavior and online commerce have undergone not just transformation, but I would say like seismic transformations, right? The marketing funnel used to be way back in the day where I actually started my career in magazines so long ago. It was a linear journey. It was a linear funnel from awareness through to purchase. But with the evolution of digital and social media, and certainly these two, consumer pathways really changing the way that folks are interacting, not just with each other, but also with brands, it's become much more important for all of us at the platforms, at the brands, and even the creators to understand how emerging platforms can really affect our strategic plans. So, what's interesting is like today we actually think of the customer journey as really an infinity loop. I think about my own purchase journey as a multi-pronged approach where I usually have about several touch points where I'm hearing about, right? I'm getting awareness. I'm seeing Shana talk about something on her feed, on my feed or on her feed. And then I can think about it a little bit more. Maybe I'll pull it up on a browser. I'll come back to it a week later. I'll see her wear it again, or I'll see someone else wear it. These kinds of journeys really more mirror what we call like an infinity loop. It can happen multiple times. You really get those touch points so many ways and stages across a multitude of channels. And so you really can think about it in a linear way, which is why creators are so important in this journey, because the way that the creator experience has evolved to be such an authentic connection with our audiences, it's much more like word of mouth more than anything. And you think about the kind of marketing that's most really most impactful, or certainly what I think is most impactful, are the ones that come the kind of influence that you're getting from people that you know, and the connection that creators and influencers have with their audiences make them really feel like friends, right? They feel like they know them. They feel like they understand their lives. They're signing off newsletters like yours and your friend, and really feels like such an authentic connection. And that didn't happen, I don't think, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and has really changed the way that consumers think about it. And that's why we're seeing 9 in 10 consumers relying on creators for product recommendations, right? It's proven out, and we know that it's really changing the way that the purchase journey is happening. And so, really prioritizing that trust and authenticity is extremely critical for brands. Understanding how to use creators to help drive cultural equity, and really leveraging their authority when it comes to, and their authenticity, right, to really drive the customer journey is going to be critical. And we know that it's clear. I mean, we know that over 80% of marketers are going to be utilizing influencer marketing this year. And that's almost 50% of them increasing year over year. So, we're excited to see the recognition of the space, and the recognition of the creators and the value that they bring. And we're super excited to see this kind of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely no surprise that the way customers shop has evolved, right, to reflect all the ways marketing and purchasing have changed. Absolutely. So next question is for you, Shana. How does the Mom Edit approach the integrated customer journey for your brand campaigns? And how have you delivered tangible results at each stage of the marketing quote funnel?
Yeah. So you guys can hear me okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So hi. So I just want to sort of underscore a little bit what Lindsay was talking about too, because I feel like, Lindsay, you were talking about how influencers are seen as friends. And, that is something that is not lost on me as an influencer. And we take that responsibility very seriously. Our readers, going into this, we assume that our readers have something in common with us, right? We assume that if you're here reading all of my nonsense day after day, you feel some sort of connection point with me. And we take that role very seriously. And the trust of our readers, quite frankly, is the whole point of this business. Like, we would not be in business if we didn't maintain and care for that trusted relationship. So that has to come first, right? So frankly, when you look at it from that angle, taking collaborations and working with brand partners is really the first most important order of the day for us, is whether we genuinely like that brand partner, and so nobody's going to get through that initial gate. So in some respects, it's a little bit easier for us to sort of sell at different points of the funnel. Like, if you're a brand and you're just trying to push product, I can see that you'd have to have multiple touch points. But for us, it's very easy. And there, if it's a known retailer, it becomes easier. If it's a known brand, it becomes easier. If it's not a luxury price point, it's a little easier. So our whole marketing funnel, like, the whole idea looks very different because we do already have this platform of trust that, quite frankly, any influencer who cares about being in this business long term is going to maintain that first. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust goes a long way, certainly, especially in this business. Absolutely. Cathy, how has Saks adapted its approach to digital marketing to account for a more integrated customer journey? And from past collaborations and media mix, what part do you feel creators fulfill at each part of that journey?
Yeah, the customer journey is certainly always evolving. I love, how Lindsay described it as an infinity loop. That resonates a lot as we continue to evolve our approach to, how we're addressing each part in the customer journey. But also, marketing industry aside, for us in our industry in luxury fashion, that's rapidly evolving as well. And especially as luxury fashion moves online in a much bigger way, that's kind of still an ongoing thing for where we sit. So that's all really exciting, but it certainly has forced us and allowed us really to evolve our approach to digital marketing specifically. So We traditionally were at Saks, we're more focused on investing more toward the bottom of the funnel in years past in the digital space when it comes to digital marketing. And as the customer journey has evolved, we have really evolved our approach to be much more focused on the full marketing funnel, and really addressing every point in that infinity loop. And so that's really allowed us to invest differently. So even within the creator marketing space, we used to be much more focused on concentrating our campaigns toward driving that immediate conversion. That's still really important. We're still doing a lot of work with a lot of creators in different campaigns to do that, but we are starting to invest more into that mid upper funnel kind of approach, working with creators who are particularly good at storytelling, because we really want to be moving the needle when it comes to brand consideration at Saks, which is a little bit of a different approach than how we focused our resources before. So that's definitely, and creators, it goes without saying, they really work at, yes, the bottom of the funnel, that's where we started with them, but as we're kind of evolving and on this journey to evolve our approach and move up the funnel, creators are fantastic at that as well. And I think we've been really impressed and continue to, as we learn, as we evolve and learn how we approach that mid to upper funnel, creators are really excellent at storytelling in a way that, for a brand ourselves, we're still learning too. So that's definitely been a different way of how we're approaching it.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely offer something different, but still a good bridge between the two. Absolutely. Wonderful. And Lindsay, can you provide insights into how the partnership between Saks and the Mom Edit came to fruition? What were the initial discussions or factors that led to casting the Mom Edit for the initial Saks campaign?
Yeah, I would love to talk about this. I mean, I think what I love so much about Collective Voice and the platform that we have is that we have really a unique position to help both brands and creators really maximize their relationship because of the data and the proprietary tools that we have to sort of see the opportunity. And what's great about it is that a lot of times we'll uncover opportunity where maybe it didn't appear to be opportunity in the beginning. So, Shana and her amazing team at the Mom Edit really focus on accessible fashion, or had been for, certainly a very long time. And so it didn't initially appear that it was going to be the perfect match for luxury fashion that Saks offers. But, diving a little bit deeper into it and seeing the organic appeal and performance that the Mom Edit's content has for Saks, we really tried to consult with Cathy and her team and say, hey, listen, we think that this is a really good match, and we think that there's a lot of opportunity here. And the authenticity and the alignment that's going to happen is we don't want to say we told you so, but we want to be able to have that moment at the end, where we sort of can show that the data, really can prove out. And of course, we need to make sure we take a test and learn strategy, because there are certainly experiences in which we, see data and we think there's potential, and, maybe it doesn't prove out. But, again, we really try and lean into sort of the proprietary tools and insights that we get by looking not just at the, direct retail and organic performance, but also, adjacent products and adjacent insights that are going to say, we think this has a lot of potential, and we'd like to sort of figure out how we can use, Saks' strategic goals, really make sure that we're aligning with their KPIs, and then carefully, scanning our entire network, looking at all the potential ways and creators that are covering items close to Saks, within Saks' SKU set, all the kinds of information that we can use to put it together and say, hey, listen, this is an opportunity. And sort of on that note, I will say that, collaboration is critical, right? We want to make sure that on both sides of the aisle, we are bringing, equal advocacy to help understand, hey, listen, Cathy, let's understand what your goals are. Let's understand how we can meet them. But also, hey, Shana, what works for you? Do you think that this is going to be helpful? Do you need more, freedom in what you're talking about in the products that you're referencing? And, I know Shana's going to talk a lot about that at some point as well, because she is a huge proponent of having the sort of freedom of of coverage. And I totally agree. I think that, it's really critical to understand that the, creators truly understand their audience best. And we try to sit in the middle and make sure that we're advocating on both behalf. So yeah, that's really our goal there.
Yeah, and it's good to have that balance for sure. It's certainly made for a great partnership between the two of you guys. Well, three of you. So absolutely. Perfect. And Shana, as Lindsay alluded to, please tell us about your first campaign with Saks and how you created a content strategy that guided the Saks audience through the customer journey to purchase. And can you also touch on how Collective Voices support and guidance really contributed to the success of that campaign?
Yeah, of course. So, it was funny because it was a couple years ago now that we had our first Saks campaign. And I remember, I think Lindsay was Lindsay and Cathy, and you guys were like, so why, everyone was surprised a little bit by the partnership of Mom Edit and Saks, and everyone was kind of like, well, like, why is this a good fit? And on the Mom Edit side, like, we were not surprised. We were 100% not surprised. And we were like, it's the jeans, guys. Saks has the most incredible denim selection. And so we do, we're like mom friendly fashion, but, which tends to be a little accessible, but we also like, moms want some good jeans. And we knew, like, to your point, we knew our audience, right? We knew that our audience would like, they're going to balk at like, a $300 ball gown, but man, like a good pair of jeans, they're like, sign me up. So like good jeans, good high quality t-shirts, like these are my people. This is what we like, So we were never worried that a collaboration with Saks would like go awry. Like we all genuinely loved, we'd been talking, for a while about Saks's like unbelievable denim selection. And so when the collaboration first came through, I think the whole point of the collaboration was to, there was some sort of sale going on, and I think shoes was maybe the focal point. And so I was like, okay, we'll do this. And so we created an article about shoes, but I made sure that I think I even changed. I had 2 different pairs of jeans on and like actually the Rag & Bone t-shirt that I featured in that first collab in 2021, I'm still wearing. I feature it all the time. So we just kind of angled the article to make sure that we were appealing to what we knew our audience would really resonate with. And, Collective Voice, I have to say, you guys have you've always been very supportive of all of like my crazy directions that I wanted to go in, or like, really, living in the gray area sometimes of those collaboration contracts. And so I have always definitely appreciated that. And yeah, our readers, the jeans that I was wearing sold out. And yeah, we knew our readers would identify with Saks because we genuinely loved their denim selection. So for us, it's always about finding, if we have a brand we love, we really have to sort of like think thoughtfully about what is it about that brand that resonates so closely with us, and then how do we communicate that to our readers. So we find that in general, like it takes us like a solid year of coverage typically before our readers are really on board with a new retailer. And so with Saks, it wasn't just a piece here or there. It was like entire departments that we knew our readers would love. And so that is exactly the kind of partnership that we're looking to do long term. So yeah, this has been, we're not surprised. It's been great for us, but we're not surprised.
Always good to hear. And it is amazing to see, creators really promote products and brands that they truly care about. It definitely shines through in their content for sure. And Cathy, how did Saks leverage Collective Voices experience to guide, develop, and execute your partnership with the Mom Edit? What role does Collective Voice play in optimizing campaign performance as well as maximizing ROI for Saks?
Yeah, Lindsay and Shana talked a lot about it already, so we'll just speak about the exact same thing from my perspective. I think, the fact that Collective Voice really helped us identify, a partnership with the Mom Edit that maybe on paper initially wasn't the most obvious fit, but we've really relied a lot on Collective Voice to help us find creators and voices in the space that are good brand fits for Saks, certainly. Even if it's not an obvious brand fit, it still has to be a good brand fit. And really, they've helped us find a lot of creators who are really effective at driving sales and performance, but also know their audiences really well. We touched on that already. When that shines through in a creator's content, that's really, that authenticity is something that we value a lot, and we also see is the most effective. So, Collective Voice has helped us identify partnerships like the one with Mom Edit, but a lot of our most longstanding partnerships, which I think has been incredibly valuable for us, like Shana mentioned. It takes a while to really kind of integrate our brand in with a creator's audiences. Even if it is the right fit, it just takes a bit. And so we're really pleased that a lot of our longest standing partners are actually through Collective Voice. So that's been really, really valuable to us. I will say that, in terms outside of just identifying creator partnerships, Collective Voice has really been a huge help, and they're experts in the space. And so especially as we were starting to just really break into creator marketing and also now scaling it, we really rely on Collective Voice to help us improve our approach and improve how we work with creators. And so talked about it a little bit before, but certainly from my perspective and for Stacks, Lindsay and her team have really helped us think about things differently, but also facilitate, direct feedback from creators, just like they helped us do with the Mom Edit. And I think it's just so valuable for us to hear directly from the creators that we work with, not only how they interact with the brand, how they speak to their audiences about our brand, and how we can improve, again, our approach and how we work with them in order to really optimize and create a win-win situation for all parties involved. So back to that shoe example, that's definitely a very, that was a great learning for us, and a learning that we carry into our approach still, just knowing that, certainly when we first started out in creator marketing, and even today, we still definitely provide direction and guidance to our creator partners. But we've learned over time, again, through direct feedback, and also we've tested it. We've tested kind of giving creators more leeway in what they feature, how they talk about it to their audiences. And we've actually just seen it in the numbers. We see better campaign results. And so that's a very different approach, for how we work with creators today versus how we did when we started out. And it's really learnings like that through our partnership with Collective Voice that continue to optimize and improve, all of our marketing campaigns today.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in because one of the things that we really tried to pioneer with Stacks and Cathy and her team is what we like to call our cart insights, which are, looking at in depth at not just what sales and revenue is coming from a link itself, but really in-depth understanding of what exact products are going into the cart for the consumers, which is, I feel like I love those insights. I find them so interesting, right? Just like Shana was referencing, okay, we're going to push the shoes that everybody's probably going to buy the jeans, that kind of, those kinds of insights can be so valuable for the creator as well as for the brand, right? In terms of understanding what's resonating broader with audiences, what's resonating in the moment, what is on a week by week, trend, and how different products. So we're really excited that, we've been able to work with Cathy and team on these kinds of insights, as well as Shana, and looking at ways that we can help, creators across the board really understand how to use these insights to make more efficient content. That's what's so exciting is like, hey, listen, I remember, insights that have been so funny and surprising, like, back in editorial days, someone talking about, a pillowcase, like a silk pillowcase that really everybody was buying alarm clocks, those kinds of like funny little details where we're like, why aren't we selling alarm clocks? We should be out there. Apparently nobody knows how to get up in the morning. It's those kinds of insights that I feel like really help make, better content, better experiences, better collaborations. And so we're super excited to be rolling out like a broader tool for creators across the board, which we really think will be insightful down the road.
Definitely, definitely. And speaking of insights, in Collective Voices recently released creator research report titled Beyond the Metrics, Measuring the True Impact of Creator Campaigns, you found that 7 in 10 creators frequently post about brand partners and campaign products organically beyond the campaign period. So how should brands measure the lasting effects of their creator partnerships beyond their initial campaigns?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that everybody has kind of touched on this a little bit. And I know that, oh, am I frozen? Are you guys okay? We're coming back. Okay. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I was still visible. Anyways, we talked a lot about one of the things that's been really important to me for a long time since I got here is this idea of the halo effect. So, we know that influencers and creators are able to drive brand advocacy and loyalty much beyond the last click. And it is a whole pet peeve of, I don't want to say pet peeve, but it is a frustration that oftentimes they only get the credit for the last click because just like we talked about that infinity loop earlier, we know that they're driving touch points at multiple places. And so it is very, very plausible, if not probable, that they have influenced a purchase and not necessarily been that last click. It takes many, many exposures to get somebody, especially when you're considering something like a luxury purchase, but really even, I think a lot about like things like skincare or, things that are very personal. It's going to take a long time and a lot of touch points to influence a final trigger for a purchase. And attribution is really complex. There are many, many ways in which this kind of halo effect can be measured, but isn't always easily measurable, especially with the deprecation of third-party cookies. It's very difficult to really hone in on it. So, we make sure we work with our brand partners to talk about things like brand lift studies, which can really help shift the focus from that single campaign, ROAS to a much more long-term brand affinity and sort of understanding how creators in particular can drive, again, that brand loyalty. And a lot of that is going to involve sort of driving or fulfilling on long-term relationships, again, like, because you're going to need that and you're going to need multiple touch points over multiple months when you're thinking about a purchase that is going to take up maybe a significant percentage of your discretionary income. You're not going to do that. And that's, luxury or not, right? I mean, at lots of different stages in a person's life, that purchase can be anything from $50 to $500. And so you really want to make sure that you're investing in creators over time so that brands can really leverage their evolving influence and their evolving audience to maintain continuity in their marketing efforts. So, we just really recommend, investing in creators into a variety of marketing strategies as well as a variety of channels. There's lots of different ways in which audiences are evolving and how they're consuming their creator content. And so, just really important to make sure that at reaching that full audience spectrum, you're kind of getting into that infinity loop and understanding all the different places in which you're able to really touch the audience and the customer. So, really recommend, empowering creators, nurturing those long-term relationships and making them an integral part of your strategic plans. I love the way that, Cathy and Shana and the teams have worked together to say, let's help each other, right? Like, let's work together to really amplify our voices as well as like the brands and the specific. I really love those balloons. Those are amazing. I wish I got them every time I spoke. But yeah, it ultimately results in a much stronger partnership. So we're excited about that.
Wonderful. And Shana or Cathy, did you want to add on to that? Or
I mean, what's funny, and I think this is the sort of like is a good example of like how like a long-term partnership is definitely a win-win situation. In the Mom Edit, we have contributing editors like all over the US, and there has not been a single time when a contributing editor doesn't get a collaboration and they go off and they do, this is the difference between models and influencers, right? Like, we do so much research. Like if we're working with a new partner, we do so much research. We're on their website for hours and hours and hours at end. We are ordering thousands and thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. We're trying them on. Like we're really making we're not just looking for clothes that look pretty in a photo shoot. Like, if we're short, we're cutting off the jeans to make sure they work with the shoes. Like we're invested, we're all in. And so what ends up happening when we have these brand partnerships is, they come back to me and they're like, yep, I got it. I know what I'm going to cover for this one article, but I have like 50 other things that I've found that I now love that I'm going to cover over the next, couple months here. So these brand partnerships, just because we're choosing carefully, again, like because we're choosing brand partners carefully, like it's naturally a good fit. And so we have a team of people who genuinely love fashion and genuinely love expressing themselves through fashion. And so when they do hours and hours and hours of research, we're going to get out more than just a single article. Like they're going to find all kinds of stuff that they're genuinely excited about and genuinely excited to share. So yeah, we're a huge fan of the long-term partnership. It is truly just like totally win-win.
I mean,
yeah, we really see it. We really see our partners as, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
A little bit of a delay, but no, I was just going to jump and say we really see our partners as, yes, they influence their audiences, but I think there's something to the fact that, we are increasingly, maybe terminology changes, but they're content creators and they're experts at that. And I think that, we as a brand think a lot about that in terms of how we select the partners that we work with and how we tap into this channel and this tactic overall. Because we alluded to some of this earlier, but really, how creators are able to create content via, through a voice and from a perspective that, for us, the brand ourselves, we can't imitate that, nor should we want to. But it's just kind of talking about our brand, interacting with our brand in a very different way that really adds holistically to our overall strategy. That's really important to us. And critical for just overall marketing effectiveness.
Yeah, and we're dangerous, man. We have an internal Slack channel just for the Mom Edit, and like we're always sharing like our latest like finds, and like we're all influencing each other. It's terrible.
Or great.
I was gonna
or amazing.
On like short girl problems and like I always am looking to you guys for teen recommendations because I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna work on my short legs.
Yeah, no, the struggle is real for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, just as you said, Cathy, I was like, is that a problem? I don't think so. I think that's great. Like influencing each other. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Wonderful. And Cathy, I'm curious, what is Saks' approach for measurement of success beyond a campaign's initial run to account for, a finding such as the one that we just shared?
Yeah, measurement certainly is very tricky, and especially in a channel or a tactic like Lindsay mentioned before we know there's a lot of halo effect coming from what we're doing here within the creator marketing space, which is great, but it does make measurement tricky. So first thing I would say is at Saks for years now, we've really relied on MMM, or our marketing mix model, to understand true incrementality. What are we truly incrementally driving with our marketing efforts? And we're able to measure incremental ROI based on this model. And so that's really how we look across everything that we're doing in the marketing space to understand what each tactic, what each channel is driving. And that allows us to, that helps us determine, how we're allocating our investment across everything. There's certainly drawbacks to MMM, as important as it is. It's kind of run, just given the nature of the model, there's a delay in us seeing the results versus, when the action actually happens. Also, it doesn't allow us to get as granular as we sometimes would like or need to make some more tactical decisions. So while that's important, it's not everything. Lindsay also mentioned last click before. We're of course looking at last click KPIs on a real-time basis, looking at sales and traffic, but that obviously has major limitations as well. Again, back to the halo effect. So I think for us at Saks, especially as I talked about earlier, we're moving up the funnel, especially as how we, especially in the creator marketing space, we're trying to move up the funnel. And so measurement has to be very different in terms of what we're looking at. So One of the big ways that we have been able to start tackling this is partnering with Collective Voice on brand lift studies. I think we've done this now 2 years in a row. These are complex studies, big undertakings. You have to look at a lot of data across a long period of time. And so we actually, not too long ago, just reviewed our 2023 results, which are really exciting. But basically, these brand lift studies allow us to look at these upper funnel KPIs that really help us understand, are we moving the needle when it comes to brand perception, brand consideration, like you mentioned before. So given these kind of newer goals of ours, the brand lift studies that we are able to get through our partnership with Collective Voice are really helping us take a look at those types of things. And with this recent study, we learned that, where our campaigns with Collective Voice last year helped us drive a 10-point increase in brand consideration with new customers, which is huge, and also a 3-point increase in brand perception overall. So these are very hard KPIs to move the needle on, and also obviously very hard to measure as well. So we're very pleased with what we're seeing so far, and we know there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, that's definitely exciting. And, to further those numbers a little bit, in the same Collective Voice survey that we mentioned earlier, 55% of creators said that building brand loyalty and engagement for brand partners was the most important factor when creating campaign content. And only 12% said that creating or converting sales, rather, was the highest priority. So I'm curious, Shana, how important is that balance to you? And how did you prioritize building awareness and sales for Saks?
So I'm afraid that if I had taken that survey, I would have been like sales first, but I'm saying that on a base of like understanding that we don't even partner with people that we don't already have some level of brand loyalty with, right? So so we do take our ROIs, very seriously. And so, like I said, it is always a balance. We're only going to partner with brands that we genuinely believe in. And so when that's the bar, we're able to really dive in on the ROI. So, I mean, we measure that. Like, frankly, that is something that we measure at every step. And yeah, I mean, that's that, man. ROI is a big deal. I mean, I understand that it is only one metric that we're measuring by, and I understand the halo effect and that there is more there, but it also is a measure. And so, frankly, if we can't meet an ROI on a campaign, that is an indicator to us that there's a little bit of a flag on the play. Like either we chose a brand partner that maybe it was a stretch for us, or it could be something as simple as the product that we are covering is no longer in stock. There's any number of reasons, but it does cause some thinking if we're not easily meeting ROI. So that's sort of how we use it as a gauge. It is not everything, but it is definitely information that I think is important, and so we treat it like that.
Yeah. Spoken like a true software engineer.
I know.
I love it. It's so great. That's fun.
Yeah.
Like sales matter, guys.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Amazing.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. And to build off of that, how does the Mom Edit track and measure audience engagement throughout the customer journey? Do you have any tools or methodologies that you found most effective in capturing audience interactions and behaviors? And maybe you can connect that to ROI and how you prove that for your brand partners.
Yes. Besides the giant spreadsheet, we do actually one of the best things that have come out of our partnership with Collective Voice, and the whole reason that we're so excited to join forces years ago, is Collective Voice developed an API that, like, I'm pretty sure was just for us. But what we were able to do with this API is then develop a series of dashboards that are custom just for the Mom Edit, and we're able to tie sales directly to products that we produce. So it's not just like, Instagram versus Facebook versus the blog. We actually can go in at the level of like, this article performed better than this article. And we know how much, sales each article drove. We know where those sales are coming from, whether they were newsletter subscribers or organic traffic or whatever. And so we use those measures to, see how, and Lindsay and Cathy both were talking about like the sort of like testing approach. That's how we're able to do a lot of testing. So we'll test an article and we'll be able to see how it does, and then we can either double down or pivot or whatever. And so because we've had some long-term partnerships, especially with Saks, we're able to be like, okay, well, we're going to try test A this month, test B next month, and then like see which one did better. Okay, repeat. So yeah, the API for us is everything, guys. Like it's a big deal for us. So in terms of measuring our own success.
I'll have to build it for you.
Oh my gosh.
It was, I mean, again, like it's like software, like we have like obviously a huge team of engineers who were like loved building that. It was their baby.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah. I know and I love that like that collective voice has allowed us like access to an engineer that we can like troubleshoot with when we need to. It's been really nice. This partnership on our end has been like just really great and supportive. So
excellent. Awesome. And our last question for the discussion portion today is for you, Lindsay. In the evolved creator economy and marketing ecosystem, we're definitely seeing brands hiring a lot of internal creator marketing teams. So what do you suggest brands look out for when shifting to an in-house operating model?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefit, right, and a lot of opportunity to having an internal team, and we actually work with a lot of internal teams, and the reason why we do that is because sitting in our sort of vantage point, and I actually think the API example that Shana just gave is like such a great one, because where we sit between sort of brands and creators across a multitude, like a very wide network, a huge number of categories, really understanding the shifts within the industry and what creators are interested in and what's going to be helpful for them and their business, and how we can use that to, really enhance their content and as a result enhance brands. Like that's hard to do if you're, a team of 1 or 2 or even 4, right? I mean, we have, an amazing team who's spread out across the country and who really has the purview across, a very wide range of platforms. We're seeing trends that are happening, and we're really eager to bring that insight to our creator and our brand partners. I mean, one of the things that I have, been on my soapbox about is, the emerging Substack platform. I mean, it's not really emerging, but it is emerging as a very important affiliate channel, which has been really interesting for me to see in just how much purchasing is happening. And so, we've been talking a lot about that internally and understanding how we can bring that insight, again, like to our creators and to our brand partners to help them capitalize on that community that's happening there. And so, we do that across platforms. We do it with data. We do it with products, and so I think that, there's a lot of value to working with internal teams. Again, we do it all the time. And we really want to see ourselves as a great partner and extension of their team. Because again, like we're here to help, we're not here to do, we don't need to co-opt anything. We just want to help, honestly, like we want to help creators be successful because it helps the brands be successful. And so, really being able to sit in the middle and advocate between the two is what's valuable for us.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you, Lindsay, Shana, and Cathy for that excellent discussion. So we do have some time for some questions. And again, as a reminder to everyone listening, you can submit these via the questions tab on the GoToWebinar platform. So let's see, a good question for us to start with is, can you outline the steps marketers can take to develop a creator-led campaign that effectively covers the entire marketing funnel? So I think this one is kind of to all of you, so whoever would like to go first.
So sorry, the question is about touching across the entire marketing funnel.
Yes.
I think, I'll start and would love to kind of hear Lindsay and Shana's perspective on this as well. But, from a brand perspective, I think for me on that question, I think it's really important, and we've learned this along the way. It's really important at every point in the funnel to be crystal clear on what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish, and what are you trying to solve for? Because that probably should be different at each level, each part of that funnel. So I think laying that out, from the bottom of the funnel standpoint, maybe it's a little bit more straightforward. But certainly as you move up the funnel, being very clear on, I mentioned a lot about like moving the needle on brand perception, but I think, really double clicking when you're working and talking to the creators that you're partnering with, like, what is the brand perception that you're trying to change? And what exactly is that message that you want to reach their audience with, and how are you going to measure success? So I think as a first step, just being very clear on what is your goal at every single point in your funnel, and how are you going to measure success against that?
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean, clarity from the marketing teams and the brand teams is like paramount, because it's obviously really hard to be successful if the goalpost is sort of moving along the way. And so what generally makes for really successful partnerships is all the things that we talked about here: collaboration, trust, authenticity. But it's really hard to make any of those things successful if you don't know what the goal is and what's really being accomplished, and set that first, like really in a strong and solidified way where everybody agrees and understands what the goal is, and then allow the creators to have a little bit of time and flexibility to figure out how to get there. There are obviously lots of times when quick turn creator campaigns come up, and there's a launch or there's something special that needs to happen in a very short time period, and we always want to support folks as they're doing those things. But if you really want to be able to touch the entire funnel, you want to understand all the different ways in which audiences and customers are going to become brand advocates, become, lifetime customers. It's going to take like a very, clear direction that's collaborative and long-term relationship that's going to foster that.
Yeah, I like what your point is about the collaborative nature too. I feel like, again, we had that conversation years ago when Cathy was like, Saks, we want to promote Saks, not just as a place you go for like a fancy event dress. And that was such important information, because for us, like I said, we were all about like, well, it's Saks' jeans and high quality t-shirts, and so like, those definitely linked up there. But understanding that Saks wanted us to lean in on what we already loved was super helpful information. So, because it's easy, because, we talked to some of our contributors too, because sometimes people are like, oh, a Saks collaboration, immediately people think, well, I need to be fancy. Like this is a big deal. I got to be pretty fancy. And so we can, because we have this information, we can like dial it back and be like, actually, no, just like do what you always do. Lean in on the jeans, lean in on the tees. Like that's good. That's good. So I feel like, the more information you can get to the influencer early on is super helpful. Super helpful.
Yeah, briefing is weirdly tricky. Again, it's something that we've learned along the way, and something that we've had to continue to tweak and test and learn into. And yeah, exactly like what Shana said, I think we've learned that providing more context and kind of bringing our creator partners in to the tent with us to kind of talk to them about starting from the beginning, like what are we trying to solve for with our overall marketing approach here. I think just contextualizes a lot of even the more specific deliverables that we ask for. And I think, we've seen that really helps the end product of the actual campaign, that the results of the campaign. So that's something that we're definitely still learning and working toward.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic information from all of you. And I know we're just about at time, so I think I'm going to wrap here. So definitely thank you everybody for a great discussion today. So thank you, Lindsay, Shana, and Cathy for your insights. And thank you everyone for listening and submitting questions. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.